Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. It's been a while. Sorry that I took a little bit of a hiatus there. It's been 5 long days. I mentioned that I was going on a trip and probably was not going to be able to record Friday, but I'm here. Monday was kind of a get back into it day for the family here, so I was not able to record yesterday, but I am back. It is Tuesday, February 22nd of 2022. Yes, it is 2/22/2022. Blah, 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 blah. It's so cool, right? Yeah, I guess. Things that were fated to happen are just awesome. But yeah, it's that thing. Before we get it going any further, please like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes, and also spread this word of mouth. Greatest show you've ever freaking heard. But no, really, if you like what I do here, if you enjoy the articles I pick, the things I break down, what I talk about, please tell people to at least give me a chance, give it a listen. And if you like it, do one of the things I just said. It'll only make things better. And as always, socials, go search the Alex Cuesta Show. We are everywhere. We are like a disease. Hey, I guess we're like COVID. We're everywhere. Ha ha. Speaking of COVID, it's been now 5 days, like I said, since I've been able to do the Biden COVID tracker. And not going to lie, I slacked each day looking at it. So instead of giving you the daily one and making it this long ass rundown, I'm going to tell you where we were on the 17th when I left. I'm going to tell you where I am now on the 22nd, where we are now in the United States with this. I'm going to give you the 5-day average of each, and we're going to call it a day on that. How does that sound? Good? Sounds good to me. So on February 17th, 2022, the last time we had this show, we were at 78,140,103 cases and 928,266 deaths. Now, mind you, those numbers are astronomically higher than when Joe Biden came into office. He was overseeing about 24.5 million cases and a little over 400,000 deaths. He's done a terrible job, but he's done something brilliant over the last few days, last few weeks. We haven't heard much about COVID response, right? We haven't heard much about COVID anything. He's left it the fuck alone. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't done anything. And lo and behold, the virus is starting to trickle on its own. Let's see where we are today. As of February 22nd, 2022, we are at 78,492,544 cases. That is only 352,441 more cases over these last 5 days, which is fantastic. We were seeing a number like that on a daily for a little while there. That's a 5-day average of only 70,488 cases. That's brilliant compared to where we have been. That is a great trend. It is something to be happy about. And in terms of deaths, 935,583 deaths, an increase in 7,317. One thing to say about that, we have seen that deaths follow slower than the cases, about a week or so, 2 weeks after you get your cases, the deaths kind of follow. So we're kind of seeing that here. It's still only a 5-day average of 1,463 deaths per day. It's still a ton of death, but the number is trending downward. It is positive. It is a good thing going on. And the best thing Biden did is leave it alone. Maybe he forgot because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But that's the best thing that he's done so far, is just kind of not talk about it, not try to respond to it. We haven't really heard much from Tony Fauci. If you go searching for him, he's always talking his shit, but he hasn't really been super out front in the open, at least that I have seen. And I read a whole bunch of news every single day. But you will see the little snippets. You will see the fun little snippets to try and keep all the drones that are like, masks, mandates, vaccines. Those people, they want to keep them going. They know they have them by the balls. They have them, whether they're male or woman, balls or ovaries, they have them clutched. And whatever they say and whatever they do, they will tell them what to do and they will just listen. So you're seeing little snippets of, there's the BA-2 variant that has been going around Africa, and you've seen articles all about this one Omicron variant now. It's not just a COVID variant. It's not a new variant from COVID. It is specifically a variant of Omicron. And they're saying, this one's more infectious again. And then you read a little further and it's like, but people are mostly vaccinated and a lot of people have gotten this disease and there seems to be a good response. And then you get a few more paragraphs, but we need to be wary and we might be lifting mask mandates too soon and we need to encourage more. And then they continue to go and say, nah, everything indicates that this isn't going to be too bad. So it's kind of funny. Read articles about it because it's hilarious to see the mental struggle of these little mental midgets trying to keep their sheep in line, and keep continuing to tell them to keep their head in the sand, stay scared, don't ever come up, don't take off your mask, to continue to listen. And, you know, our neighbors in the north are saying these are the people cheering on the neighbors in the north that are arresting truckers, that are arresting the backbone. Now, the next thing I want the Canadian truckers to do, don't go to work. It'll suck. It'll suck for everybody. But you know what? Don't go. Don't go. Let everybody suffer and make it. It's not, and it won't be your fault. This is another civil unrest, another peaceful protest. People will be pissed. People will struggle. People will hate the astronomical prices. And whoever organizes these freedom convoys needs to step up and say, this is the government's fault. We will go back to work when we get the mandates lifted completely, when we get masks lifted completely, and we go back to normal. Then we will go back to work when we can work normally. Until then, no supplies. Now, again, there's going to be a good handful of turncoats that will go and do it because they believe in the authoritarian bullshit, but it's not going to be enough and it will hurt. So we saw they went in, Canada went full authoritarian, arrested a bunch of people off of you honked your horn too fucking loud. And they went full authoritarian and Trudeau's okay with it and Biden endorsed it. So be wary here in the United States, everybody. It could come and it could come swift. Now, I didn't want to get on the side of the truckers. I want to talk about an article that I saw before the main article, but it was one from Louder with Crowder. Now, again, if you're a lefty that likes to listen to us, you're raising your eyes like, oh, it's the Blaze. It's a fucking article, okay? Yes, it has right leanings, but it's still an article. There are still journalists at these places. I even defend CNN. They have good journalists on the ground. The people on TV fucking suck. But this article from louderwithcrowder.com titled Canadian MP asks about Justin Trudeau's ties to World Economic Forum, met with silence and change of topic. I'll tell you, everybody, you know, when we get glimpses of what goes on in other parliaments and other governments, it's wild to think that our government's tame. We are extremely tame with the shit that we do. But I want everybody to listen to this because it is hilarious, because they do talk. They do ask about the World Economic Forum. And anyone that's listening to the show knows how I feel about the World Economic Forum. It's an insane place. Klaus Schwab's a goddamn madman. I'm reading his book on the Fourth Industrial Revolution right now. It is modern day Marxism to a T. The guy is a flat out Marxist. And there have been ties where Klaus Schwab, Justin Trudeau has sat at the World Economic Forum. He has talked about the Great Reset, Justin Trudeau. They talk about Build Back Better, Biden, him, these people that all are buying into this. Klaus Schwab has said that he has people in the Canadian government that Trudeau is in his back pocket. And it is a fair question from this MP. And listen to this interaction because it is really, really interesting to see just how they respond in the Canadian Parliament.
I had a constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WEF, World Economic Forum, has, quoted, infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honorable member for Timmins.
So what you just heard there was, I don't know about you. You can't see the video in this video. You can't see the video. So when you're saying the video is bad, the audio was just fine. This guy is bold-faced lying. I don't know who this the sitting chair is here, the sitting member that is subsiding over this. I'm not privy into Canadian politics. I don't care too much about it. Besides Justin Trudeau getting the fuck out of there as quick as he can. We have to get him out. But just hearing him, he's stuttering, he's nervous. It's a good question. This guy's definitely one of the people in the WEF's back pocket, or he agrees with the agenda. So he doesn't want to talk about it. He's probably been instructed. Anything talking about Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, back up off of it. There's something more interesting to this, because like he said, Klaus Schwab has bragged that he has people in the cabinet. And you could see the article brings up that in Trudeau's cabinet, current and former members there in Trudeau's cabinet, they are broadly listed as the young global leaders in the World Economic Forum website. Now, these are people that the World Economic Forum recognizes as those who are down with their agenda, wanting to do the world economic agenda, wanting to do Build Back Better, wanting to work heavily on climate change, to destroy fossil fuels, to destroy those types of things. And if you're proud of that, fine, good for you. But they want a Marxist utopia. That is the goal, end goal. I'm telling you, don't take it from me. Read Klaus Schwab's books. He has it all out there. He's not hiding. Listen to the man speak. He talks about collectives. He talks about globalism. He talks about one citizen. He talks about all this stuff. That is all collectivism. That it sounds a lot like a Marxian read. So let's talk real quick. Post Millennial did a piece on the people that are in or used to be in the Canadian government. Here they are. The current Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, who was the one that was outspoken that said they were going to crack down on the truckers. Minister of Families, Karina Gould. Minister of Innovation, Francois-Philippe Champagne, and former MP Scott Bryson. And other notable members include New Democratic leader Jagmeet Singh and Conservative Shadow Minister Michelle Rempel-Garner. So there you go. They're in. Now, I decided to do a little research on my own because I was curious what's going on in the southern end here in the United States. Who is on the World Economic Forum Young Leaders list? I can only find it from back to 2005. I don't know if that's when they started it, but here they are. Gavin Newsom, not surprising there. He is absolutely an authoritarian, leftist California governor. Samantha Power, if you're familiar in politics, you probably know the name. She is a former UN ambassador from President Obama, and she's also the current administrator of the United States Agency for International Development. I have no idea what that does, but it makes sense that she is down with the World Economic Forum, the globalist agenda, and she's dealing with international bullshit. There's Julian Castro. You remember him from his presidential run. He was also a part of the Obama White House, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, that's it. Pete Buttigieg, current Secretary of Transportation under Biden, ran for president as well. And also a guy that I didn't know, but definitely an influential person, Garland Gilchrist II. He's a lieutenant governor of Michigan since 2019. So he's sitting there under Gretchen Whitmer. You don't think that he's trying to implement this stuff in Michigan? So they're here as well. They are infiltrating in the American government. And there's a ton of business leaders. Just go to the website yourself. If you just go Informed Choice Australia, that's a website that has the whole list here of the WEF world leaders. It was written on December 8th, 2021. WEF and their Young Global Leaders program, who's on the list. So since 2005, they have them there. And there's a bunch there, and you could see they say who they are. There's big businessmen. Mark Zuckerberg is obviously on there. There's a lot of names that you will recognize that are on there. A lot of wealthy people. Sanjay Gupta, one of the guys that was in a spat with Joe Rogan recently. He's one of the young leaders there. There's a lot there, and that just means that these people are down with the insane Marxist agenda. And again, don't take it from me. Go read Klaus Schwab himself. Go listen to the man speak. That is his goal. And if you don't think it's his goal, then you are blind. It's not as flowery as it seems. The Marxist agenda always sounds like a flowery utopia, but they never know how to get there because there's always a problem with everything going on. Cannot believe anything these frickin' people say. But overall, that's that going on there. So it was an interesting thing going on over in Canada. A lot of interesting things going on in Canada. It will trickle down to us eventually. So keep your eyes open and be ready to fight it when you see it. And again, I encourage you. And people might be thinking, going, why the hell am I going to read Klaus Schwab? You're telling me the guy's a Marxist. He's the enemy, whatever, this and that. The reason why I say read it is because it is smart to read the things that you hate the most. It is smart to understand the people that you're trying to argue against, what they're going to say better than them. Because a lot of times people that parrot bullshit that they hear from CNN really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But when you could sit there and say, listen, what you're saying, I know the source of that. Here it is. Sometimes they'll just throw their nose in the air. You stupid Trump voter, you Nazi, you white supremacist, and walk away. And you won anyway at that point, even though there's no winning political battles. But maybe they might just turn around and just look at you with two heads, be like, why the hell are you reading that? Then you could tell them, because I need to know why I disagree with you. You obviously have no idea why you disagree with me. You're just parroting points that you hear from your favorite news network. So again, it's important to be well-versed in all this stuff. I try my ass off to be well-versed. It's difficult to get through sometimes, but I do it for you people, and I do it for myself. So let's get to the article today. And it's something extremely important that I am scared shitless about. Oh, last thing before we go on, people on the right, say no to Nikki Haley, Dan Crenshaw, and Dana Perino, please. They all appeared on the young leaders, list. If you have not come out, I have not heard any of these three people come out and violently condemn the World Economic Forum. I might be missing it, but I have not heard any of them come out and say, fuck these people, Klaus Schwab's a madman. Until I hear that in specific terms. And if they have done it, somebody please tell me they've done it, because I will go back to liking them. Maybe not Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw is an absolute neocon. I don't like him. But outside of Dan Crenshaw, maybe I will have respect, I guess. Maybe Nikki and Dana Perino, maybe. But if they have not come out and said flat out, that list means nothing to me, I am not a part of that. I don't believe in their globalist agenda. They cannot be trusted until then. So be wary of them. All right, let's get to the article for today. It is from NBC News. It is written by, where is your name? Lauren Egan. And it is Biden announces new sanctions against Russia, says Ukraine is seeing beginning of a Russian invasion. The sanctions target large financial institutions, 5 Russian elites, and Moscow's sovereign debt, but do not go directly after Putin. All right. So in case you've been under a rock, yesterday, the 21st, right after the Olympics ended, Putin invaded Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine. He quote unquote recognized 2 breakaway regions from Ukraine that want to be Russian or ethnically Russian. They speak Russian. They act Russian. They vote for Russian interests. All the same bullshit propaganda that any dictator that wants to usurp and annex land uses. It is always this way at first. This is how it happens. They are us. They deserve to be us. We want them to be us. They want to be us. We're just going to take it. Now, if this is true so badly that they want to be Russia, this is diplomatically to be decided between Ukraine and Russia, their leadership, diplomatically, if they are going to give it up, how they're going to give it up, what are the concessions, this, that, and the third. Annexing is never allowed. And I firmly don't believe that these people want to be Russian. I don't. There might be some sympathizers in there, maybe a good group of them too, but I don't think they all want to be. And that really matters here. So Russia has invaded Ukraine. They put their soldiers in these quote unquote breakaway regions for peacekeeping missions. They just put new uniforms on them. They're Russian soldiers. And I'm telling you right now, they're not going to stop. So let's read the article. President Joe Biden announced new sanctions against Russia on Tuesday, warning that President Vladimir Putin's actions in Ukraine this week amounted to the beginning of a Russian invasion. We still believe that Russia is poised to go much further and launch a massive military attack against Ukraine, Biden said in remarks at the White House. Yeah, because sanctions are going to stop Russia. It is really going to stop Russia. This is all we have. I didn't expect anything from Joe Biden, but man, this is weak. Let's keep going. As Russia contemplates its next move, we have our next move prepared as well, the president added. Russia will pay an even steeper price if it continues its aggression, including additional sanctions. It'll pay such a big price. We're just going to bury them economically and hope that they say, no, please stop. The problem with sanctions against places like Russia and China and North Korea, all these places, you have to care about your people. None of these places give a fuck about their people. Putin, Xi, Un don't care. Or Kim Jong, not Un, Kim Jong, don't care. They don't. They do not care about their people. They will all suffer and die as long as the military is fine, the government and the elites are good. They do not care about their people. Let's keep going. Putin formally recognized and the independence of two Moscow-backed breakaway regions in the eastern part of Ukraine on Monday and ordered troops into territories to carry out what he called peacekeeping functions, as I stated earlier. The sanctions announced Tuesday target large Russian financial institutions and Moscow's sovereign debt, cutting the country off from Western financing. They also focus on 5 Russian elites with close ties to the Kremlin, but do not go after Putin directly. The punitive measures appear intended to leave room for Putin to de-escalate and engage in diplomacy, while also aiming to deter Russia from pursuing a large-scale invasion of Ukraine. So that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. The fact that we are not crippling them. If you're going to use sanctions, they need to be crippling, not little bullshit ones like this that don't go directly after Vladimir Putin. It's not going to do anything. He wants to take Ukraine. If you don't think a former member of the KGB still doesn't believe in the Soviet Union, still doesn't believe in the Soviet man, doesn't want to recreate Soviet Union, Soviet Russia, all that shit, doesn't think Ukraine is rightfully Russian anyway, is rightfully a part of the Soviet Union, you are kidding yourself. You are absolutely kidding yourself if you don't think that Vladimir Putin, number one, wants to cement his legacy even more by saying, not only did I take Crimea, I also took Ukraine back for the motherland. But you just believing this guy on his face when he says things like, no, he's not a Bolshevik. He doesn't believe in Bolshevism. You're fucking stupid if you believe him on his face. There's nothing else to say. Let's keep going. Biden said Tuesday he was moving some U.S. troops and equipment that are already in Europe to strengthen Baltic allies, but emphasized that it was a defensive move and we have no intentions of fighting Russia, Biden said. So again, white flag signaling before there's even a chance to do it. Biden has done this over and over and over again. Do whatever the fuck you want. We are not going to fight you. That's all he's saying. He said flat out, we are not going to go to war with you. It does not matter what you do. Take Ukraine. We don't care. Let's keep going. More than 150,000 Russian troops continue to surround Ukraine, the president said, and Moscow has positioned military equipment, medical, and blood supplies near the border. You don't need blood unless you plan on starting a war, Biden said. Putin's decision to order troops into the breakaway regions was seen by the United States and his European allies as a dramatic provocation after weeks of warning that Moscow was trying to create a pretext to invade. And it raised concerns that Russia could soon move farther into Ukrainian territory. The funniest part is that everyone was like, it was going to be proxies. It was going to be proxies. They were going to start it through proxies. No, you know what they did? They went, we are dealing with weak leaders in the West. So we don't even need to do a proxy war. We don't even need to stage a killing of a Russian national. We just need to go in, walk in, and just say, fucking do something. And no one's going to. No one's going to. Let's keep going. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced earlier Tuesday that he would halt the regulatory approval process for Nord Stream 2, a pipeline that bypasses Ukrainian transit infrastructure to deliver Russian gas directly to Germany. During a visit to the White House this month, Scholz had been unwilling to clearly commit to stopping the pipeline if Russia invaded. That's an $11 billion investment in a prize gas pipeline controlled by Russia that will now go to waste, said Dileep Singh, White House Deputy National Security Advisor, in a briefing with reporters Tuesday. And it's a major turning point in the world's energy independence from Russia. So let's talk about this real quick. Number one, fuck Germany for even making this deal. They went against NATO. They should be cut out. But besides that, the fact that it took so long for him to stop it is insane. And the fact that we're talking about energy independence from Russia, like not even a little over a year ago, under 2 years ago, we weren't energy independent as the United States, and we weren't the world's biggest energy exporter. But because of this president and his regime, we are now subservient to OPEC and Russia yet again. Don't ever forget that. Let's keep going. Russia's status as one of the world's largest energy suppliers means a disruption of supplies coming from the country could drive up gas prices in the U.S. amid the highest inflation rate in decades. So, yeah, it is Biden's fault that we are going to have higher gas again. Leading into the summer coming up very soon in the next few months, we are in February. May, April are around the corner. Leading into that, that's when gas prices go up anyway. Hello, $5 gas for me here in the Northeast. It's coming. Let's keep going. Russia is also a major global supplier in raw materials such as aluminum, nickel, palladium, and copper, and any disruption to the supply of those materials could rattle an already strained global supply chain. So you see, NBC here is already setting up, giving an excuse for Biden here. He can't do anything to Russia. He can't piss off Putin. What if they take away some resources? Oh, the supply chain is already bad. Biden has to not do anything and sit on his hands. That's what they're trying to get through to you here. How important Russia is to the world, how important Russia is to the United States. Don't be fooled there. They do have all that power, but it is more important to deter a madman. Let's keep going. Biden cautioned Americans that defending freedom will have a cost at home, but said his administration was closely monitoring the global energy supply to limit the pain of American people are feeling at the gas pump. I'm going to take robust action to make sure that the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, not ours, Biden said Tuesday, adding that he will judge Russia by its actions, not by its words. So we're supposed to take Biden by his word? Gas is fucking terrible. We are not good with our supermarkets are still empty half the time. The supply chain issue has not gotten better. And what has he done about any of it? And now globally, foreign policy, we are in a shit show. Afghanistan is still a fresh wound. He's trying to break apart the Abraham Accords to get back in with Iran and make another deal with Iran instead of surrounding them like Trump was trying to do and forcing them to be diplomatic. He's now letting Russia take another nation after his boss, former boss, Obama, let him take Crimea. Let's look at the trend here. Let's look at the trend of what Putin does. Let's finish up the article. I'm hoping diplomacy is still available, Biden said. But the chances of finding a diplomatic resolution looked increasingly unlikely Tuesday as Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced he was canceling a planned meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, citing Putin's move on the two breakaway regions. So listen, I'm definitely at odds with the other conservative checkmarks, I guess you want to call them, on Twitter and all the other places who are, in my eyes, just playing politics. And I don't like it. I hate it. If the shoe was on the other foot here, they would be the ones rattling, saying we need to be strong. America needs to show a strong front. We can't be weak in the world stage, especially against our sworn enemy, Russia. And it would be the Democrats on the other side going, look at this war hawk group. They just won another war. They dragged us into the war after 9/11. That's all they do is war, blah, blah, blah. They bring our soldiers home, this, that, and the third. It would be switched. But no, because it's President Biden, we have a whole bunch of Democrats going, we need to go to war. We need to fight. We need to stop Russia. And we have the Republicans, conservatives going, we don't even belong there anyway. Ukraine is Ukraine's problem. I'll tell you this to my conservative brethren, I guess. I don't even consider you my brethren. But the people on the blue check marks on the conservative side, and some people I listen to, and some people I actually generally like, you're on the wrong side. You're on the wrong side. Whenever something like this happens and we bury our heads in the sand as America, since we have been the global leader, shit hits the fan. We cannot go isolationist. We can't. We can't not worry when madmen try to take over regions of sovereign nations. We can't just sit back, especially when it's one of the three world powers, two of them being our sworn enemies between China and Russia. And don't think that the little summit between Xi and Putin was just about Xi asking Putin very nicely not to do anything until the Olympics, because God, I don't want to mess up my Olympics. China did the Olympics so well. They cared so much about how that was run, as we could see how beautifully the Chinese Olympics was run, the Winter Games, that he really just wanted to ask him, don't do that. Just please don't do that. No, it's not at all what it was for. That was unilateral ass covering. That was, you can do whatever you want in Ukraine as long as you back us up with Taiwan and then back us up with Japan, and we'll back you up with whoever else you want. You guys can go and continue to recreate the Soviet Union, take whatever lands you want. Let us do our one China plan. We will back each other up. And if anyone fucks with one of us, both of us go at them. They just created a solid front. They created an axis. Don't think they didn't. And to boot, the Silk and Road Initiative creates a bunch more Axis nations. They now have these countries by the balls. They gave up parts of their country to China. Granted, China paid for it, but still, now China's there. They're in all these countries, and they have power over all of them. Not to mention that Russia has a lot of ties and backing in the Middle East, especially with the other oil giants. There's a reason we don't go into Pakistan. We don't want to piss off the Russians. So they have those big oil giants, those wealthy parts of the Middle East, they have them. You look at that coalition, it's fucking terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. If the Western nations, who I get it, they're war torn. The Western nations have been at war for 20 years. It wasn't just the United States. There was a joint action of Western nations in Afghanistan and Iraq. That was not just us alone. That is your Canada, your Australia, your UK, your France, partially, I guess, your Germany. We were all there. They were all there in some sort of capacity, whether it was just peacekeeping, whether it was just medics, something. But they were giving up their time, their resources to be there. It was mostly America, UK, our normal allies there in New Zealand. But there were others involved, and none of the nations want to go to war again. We are seeing a repeat of World War II. And I know there are people on the right going, Ukraine is not Poland. Putin is not Hitler. Russia is not Germany. No, they're not exactly the same, granted. But let's see what happens when Russia does push. I don't think Zelensky's going to back down. I think Zelensky's going to fight. I think we're going to see an all-out, full-scale war between Ukraine and Russia for Ukraine to defend its sovereignty. And then we'll see, because Russia will commit atrocities. Russians will kill indiscriminately. They won't fucking care. They will rape women. They will kill children. They do not care. I will tell you that right now. It will play out on the national stage. There will be videos. You can go on 4chan. You can go on Reddit. You can go on even Facebook. They will censor them quickly, but they'll be up for a little bit. They'll be up on YouTube for a little bit. They'll get circulated on Twitter, on Getter, on Gab. They'll be there on Instagram. They'll be there. You'll see videos. You'll see people getting killed in cold blood. And then it'll be time to respond. And what are the Western nations going to do? Is the United States going to do what they did in the Second World War? Are they going to let the other weaker, much weaker Western nations start to fight the war on their own? And if so, if America isn't involved, that will embolden Russia. That will also embolden China. Don't think that if Ukraine isn't taken easily, if they go to war with Ukraine, they take Ukraine, the West does a weak response where maybe a little bit of troops there, they fight a little, but they let them eventually take it. Don't think, or if they don't fight at all and they, that's their line in the sand, you take Ukraine, we're declaring war, and that happens. Don't think China's not going to act right away and just absorb Taiwan right away. Put boots on the ground there officially, arrest their leadership, and end it as we see, because they will both strike at the same time. Mark my words. I hope I'm wrong, but mark my words. If United States does not get involved heavily now as a deterrent against Russia, if the United States and the Western powers do not put boots in Ukraine to match the 150,000 of Russia, they should have boots in Kiev. Boots in Kiev. Let Putin rattle the saber and say, this is an act of aggression. This is an act of war against Russia. You have no right to be in Ukraine. They are not a NATO nation. Blah, blah, blah. Let him state his intention. Let him rattle the saber. Deter him. He will not go to war if a strong front is shown. If we put 200,000 strong of NATO allies in Kiev, along with the Ukrainian military, Putin will not do it. It'll send a strong message that NATO is strong, the West is still together and still strong, and that aggression and usurping and annexing sovereign nations won't be tolerated. I'm scared that message isn't going to be sent. I'm really scared that that message will not be sent. I'm scared we're going to witness the atrocities, that Russia's going to full-on attack. No Western powers are going to help. Ukraine has a good military. They'll fight valiantly. They'll get slaughtered, though. It'll take time. Not too long. Maybe a month of a war, full on war. It'll take time. They'll take Kiev pretty quickly. Kiev's not too far away from the regions that they'll be. Zelensky will travel as far to the southeast as he can. They might sack Zelensky. He might escape. I don't think he will. I think he's kind of the type of guy that he'll go down with his ship. But it's scary. We're in a similar situation. We can be facing a third world war right here. Scary part is it connects back to the first story, the World Economic Forum. China is the model for what Klaus Schwab wants. He wants public-private partnerships. He wants what China does, a form of fascism. China's fascist. Public-private partnerships are fascist. Has the authoritarian, the communism side. It has the capitalist side. There is no such thing as true private business there. It is all connected to the government. It is all in some way public. It's exactly what Klaus Schwab calls for all the time. Public-private partnerships. He has praised President Xi for doing what he does and how he does it. Never mind that they are easily the biggest polluter on the planet. Climate change is supposed to be the thing for the World Economic Forum, but they pledge to work on that all the time while now announcing they're building like 16 new coal plants. Never mind that. Public-private partnerships, the best thing in the world. Now, China getting involved will spring and start the World Economic Forum supporters coming out in the woodwork. Those people I read in Canada, the people in the United States, the influence that they hold will be tough to overcome. People like John Kerry and Anthony Fauci, who both spoke at the World Economic Forum, along with other Americans, especially people in industry. Mark Zuckerberg, one of the leaders of Google, was there. SoftBank's leader, one of them, was there. There's a lot of people. And I mentioned SoftBank. Remember, SoftBank was one of the people that banks that donated $100 million to ID.me. They're all connected here, people. But they'll all start rising up. And if China gets involved, internally, the Western nations will crumble if we have a weak response. It's a doomsday scenario. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just being paranoid. I really do. But it's a scenario that we've seen play out before. Before, they didn't have the global, I guess, globalist ideal, the ability to do what they do globally, like they do with the World Economic Forum now. There was no boogeyman Soros. There was no evil Klaus Schwab to organize all this. He's done it. People are sympathetic to China. You hear it all the time. All the time. Everyone's afraid of losing the China market. Everyone's afraid of losing China. People bow to China all the time. Don't think that this has not just become a huge entanglement. Mark my words, Russia and China just aligned. They just agreed that they both want to do similar things. They won't interfere with each other, but they will support each other. And that is scary. I don't think China acts if we defend Kiev, if we defend Ukraine. I don't think Russia or China act. I think they go back to the drawing board. The plan will be the same, but they'll look at this and say, okay, we don't want to fight a full-scale war. We're not ready for that. We don't want to fight a full-scale war that they are actively engaging in. We want to put them on their heels when we fight them, if we do. Or we just want to take shit. China's taken Hong Kong. Russia's taken Crimea. They both put the feelers out there. This has to end now. And I'm telling the conservatives that are all over social media saying we shouldn't do this. We have problems internally of this and that. We can multitask. We can all multitask, people. We can win the battle domestically against the same powers, the same globalist powers that we'd have to fight internationally. It's all intertwined. You can't fight you can't win the domestic war if we lose that global war out there. So I'm hoping I'm wrong. I really am. And I'm hoping I'm a conspiracy theorist here. Call me a conspiracy theorist with all the webs I just tied. But it makes sense. And we've seen this play out before on a world stage. Now we have more technology to pass out quicker. Now we have better weapons. And we have the softest leaders worldwide in the West that we've ever had in history. There has never been a time where we have had the softest group of leaders in the history of the world in the West. It's terrible. Macron, he was on the global young leaders of the World Economic Forum. So don't think of Emmanuel Macron as an ally. He's not. Justin Trudeau was also on there, spoke there, big member. He's not an ally. Boris Johnson has touted Build Back Better. He's not an ally. President Biden's not an ally. We're in a bad state right now. The infiltration may be complete. This all might be too late. But know what's going on. Get on the right side of history here. And we need to stop this now before it even can get going. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I hope I'm a madman. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just being a conspiracy theorist. But I can honestly say I'm fucking terrified of what's happening right now. And our response will say a lot about what goes on in the future. So as always, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify. Spread this word of mouth, please. Even more important, spread this stuff about the World Economic Forum. Word of mouth. More than my show. Spread that. And if people want to understand it, come to my show. I also recommend going to New Discourses podcast, reading James Lindsay, Chris Rufo and the likes over there. They're good on a lot of the critical race theory stuff and critical theories. And the critical theories plays heavily into the philosophy of people in the World Economic Forum. It's all intertwined. So again, on social media, go search The Alex Cuesta Show and you'll find us. I will be back tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have some better news. Everybody, so long.